friends, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to today's video. I am going over my 2023 favorites of this year. If you haven't seen my previous video, it was a best and worst 2023 purchases in the stationery, journaling, and planning world. And this video is going to differentiate from that video because the previous video was all about purchases I made with my own money. This video is going to have some favorites that were gifted to me, that I got in Happy Mail swaps, that I didn't purchase with my own money, which is why they are in this favorites video. I have a wide range of things from tools to pens, rubber stamps, same kind of categories as my previous video in the best and worst purchases, but this time it's all positives. These things are my favorites. First category is going to be tools, simple stationery items that I think everyone should have. I've tried different brands and types of some of these things. First is going to be glue stick. My favorite glue stick is the Kokuyo glue. I love that it's a square shape because you can get really close to the corners on bits of paper. I was using Elmer's glue, the Elmer's glue stick that is just very generic for school supplies at the beginning of the year, and a lot of things lifted even while I was working on some spreads or collages. The glue dries invisible, but it wasn't helpful. That was the Elmer glue, didn't work for me. So I was like, okay, let me spend a little bit of extra money on the glue sticks by Kokuyo because they are widely recommended in the stationery and journaling community, and I love them. Ever since I got my first glue stick, I haven't gone back. They smell good. Yeah, I don't know. It's probably not healthy to be sniffing glue sticks, but it smells good, and when you're working with something, at least that's an added benefit. Next is going to be glue tape. My favorite glue tape is by the brand AdTech. I just got this on Amazon. The case here, the yellow one, is a removable tape, but I actually purchased the blue box. It's for permanent, and these are the refills, and I will just continue to refill the case that I have. But I can't say that this is the best glue adhesive tape. It's just cheap enough that it does the job, and I can actually remove any of the residue fairly easily. I tend to lift up a lot of things while I'm working on a spread, and if you do it right away, it'll actually lift off the paper fairly easily, but once it's set and cures to the page, it is not budging and going anywhere. I've tried like 24 hours after laying something down, and it will rip the paper, but if I do it within a minute or two laying down a spread, I'm able to take paper off, I'm able to take receipts and a photo off with the adhesive, but after a few hours, it's cured to the paper. So I just haven't tried anything else once I discovered these. Before I got these, I was using the Tombow brand, and those were just very expensive for how little you get. I was going through the glue tape so fast. I've tried Kokuyo's brand, but the one I got was pink, and it was showing through the other sides of the pages, and I wasn't exactly going to glue different elements in the exact same spot just to not show it through. This has just been what I've stuck with throughout this year, and I don't plan on trying anything else unless I can find a cheaper alternative when these are already pretty inexpensive. The next tool are brass index clips. So this is one of those items that fall into the I didn't purchase but someone gave me, and these are the Midori index clips. I only have about 3, but if you buy a pack, it comes with 8, and I love these. At first, when my friend gifted these to me, so she bought the pack of 8. She didn't see any need for the rest of what she had, and she kindly gave me the rest to try out, and I have 3. And I love them so much that I ordered more, but I ordered from a different small shop who has some designs on her brass index clips, And so I'm excited to get those in and see how they compare to these Midori ones. But I really didn't think I was gonna have a use for them. And then I use them to mark certain pages in my planner and notebooks, and it's been really helpful to stay on top of my mood of the day, to find my daily page easier, to get to the monthlies, because I will forget. Once I'm in a page in the back for my daily journaling, I seldom go back to the front. It's why I don't think the Hobonichi Cousin works for me. I will not remember to flip from monthly, weekly, and then daily. So I just don't go flipping in different sections, but the index clip has helped me to remember certain pages in my planners. And the last thing in tools is my Travelers Company brass clip. I got this in a D-stash, so I think it technically was with a discount. It was in a bundle with one of my TN covers. This one is fairly tight to open. I honestly thought they were all like that until I used a friend's brass clip in person during a journaling session, and hers opened very easily. So I think this needs some WD-40 or something, and you can hear it squeak. I think maybe the spring is rusted as well. But I am hoping to acquire some of the other designs. I am missing the airplane one, and then there is a Starbucks Reserve Roastery from Tokyo. I would love to have that one in my collection, but of course it is marked up and being sold for a higher price. So I don't see the need for any more right now. This does the job fairly well. I do have other clips like acrylic clips and a plastic clip, but honestly the brass does so well in weighing the page down, and with the flat back it doesn't lift up the page while you're writing. So definitely one of my favorites this year. Next category is going to be pens, just your regular inexpensive pens, not any of the fountain pens yet. But for pens, I have to include this little Chubster. I loved it so much. I still use this. It goes in my bag everywhere, and so it's really nice to just have a reliable pen. Reliable, I don't know why I use that word. For me, it's been reliable, but I know a lot of people who get this pen and it's just really spotty. It's not consistent for them. I am one of the lucky ones where the ink refill in this is pretty consistent. It's never skipped or dried out on me. But this is the Uniball 1P. I don't know what P stands for. I'm assuming it means petite, but this thing is chunky and I love it so much. It is small, it's like a pocket pen. Maybe P means for pocket. That makes more sense. But I have mine in the 0.38, and I wanted to collect all the colors, but I'm telling myself to wait until I absolutely have to maybe get a refill, and then I can justify getting a different color. And I love how people have mixed and matched the barrels and done like a two-tone moment. But I love this thing. It is so cute. An honorable mention is the Uniball 1, the regular size pen. I had two of them before. I since gave them to my husband and I don't know where they are. So I think both of those pens are great. The normal version and then the pocket version. I like to stick with 0.38, and my other pen that is a favorite is the Muji gel pen. This is the first year that I've ever tried the Muji gel pen, and I really like it. I love how fine the tip is and writing. I just wish I think I'm spoiled after fountain pens. Anytime I use a regular pen, it just feels so skinny, and I notice how much more my hand cramps. I notice that I'll get the writer's bump with these kinds of pens. So I guess my type of pen is really to be a chunkier, heftier pen to fit my hand better. And then the last mention in my favorites for pens is the Pentel Sign brush pen. I honestly can't remember how I came across to wanting the Pentel brush sign pen, but when I went to a partner shop and there was a shop that sold them in person and I got to test it out, I bought every single neutral color. And then since then I went and bought individual colors that I could find from a website, and I love them. I have so many now, and I want all the rest of the colors. I didn't think I would want to own them in any colors other than neutrals, but they come in handy a lot for journaling, just to let some hand lettering pop out. And I love them because they are smaller tips, so you can actually do some hand lettering in smaller fonts, unlike the Tombow dual brush pens. These tips are very soft to be able to hand letter easily. They are pigmented and honestly just really easy to use, really comfortable to hold and hand letter, because with hand lettering you do change the pressure and your writing angle. It's not like your regular handwriting grip or anything. So I really enjoyed the Pentel Sign brush pen that I think I only started with 4, and by now I have more than 10, and I don't plan on stopping adding to this collection of Pentel Sign brush pens. So anyone that has seen my hand lettering in videos or on Instagram, I usually get the question right after, what pen is that? And it is the Pentel Sign brush pens. Okay, we are gonna move on to rubber stamps, and the very first one I'm going to mention, in no order are these by like my most favorite to like the next favorite. But this has been so handy this year. This is the Beverly Ink Bottle stamp. And I first saw this when someone was doing ink swatches, and I loved how crisp the design was. I had purchased a clear stamp set with rubber, with bottles, and it just wasn't as clean as I was hoping it would be. And at first I felt bad. I had a good variety of clear stamps in the bottle design, but it just didn't make me happy. It wasn't to my satisfaction, and so I went ahead and bought this, and despite, you know, purchasing something I already had in terms of the design, the wood block and the design on this is just so much crisper that I am way more happy. I redid all of my ink swatches, and it was so worth it because it just made it look cleaner. I could appreciate the color of the ink better because the stamp was no longer bothering me with the thick lines, and instead I have a really nice design with this bottle. I have 2 more stamps here. These would be my favorites in terms of characters. I have one here from Something of Mine in a collaboration with Miss Bula, and I just love that it's like her plugging herself in to recharge, just like you would recharge your phone. I love the battery, and it's empty, and what I like to do is color in the battery depending on how my mood is that day and whatever it is I'm journaling about. I will mostly use this in my Travelers Company vertical insert to memory keep. I often pull this out to use when I'm feeling very low battery, so a lot of the times I will color it in red and just the tiniest sliver to show that my battery is really empty and I am in need of a desperate recharge. This next one is by Black Milk Project, and it is Kami Kami. She has like a sister brand to Black Milk Project, and this is me every night just on my phone putting my kids to sleep and catching up with messages and comments from Instagram or YouTube. That is just me to a T, so I use this stamp very often. These are my 2 favorite character stamps. Next stamp definitely takes the cake for number 1, but it isn't just one specific stamp. It is just an overall set or brand, and my favorite this year has got to be Kuru Kinki. It's been my favorite so much that I want to just collect everything she has, every design she has, but most especially is the Days collection. There are Days A and Days B, and A, I believe, is the smaller width ones, and B is the larger width ones. If I get that wrong, I'm sorry, then just switch it. But I love all of the words. At first, I was picking and choosing exactly which ones I wanted. Then I got them in person, and I just loved them so much. I've used them so many times, and so it's been worth it to get the entire collection. I remember when I first got these, I think I was just missing 2 from each set, and I was scouring the internet to be able to buy them individually of what I was missing, and now I have the full collection and it's been worth it. I also have the days of the week, and I have the smaller set. There was one that was a regular size and then the nano size, and I have the nano size, and I use these all the time. My favorite way to use some of these is like the word feeling. I will stamp it on a page and then I will draw arrows, almost like a brainstorm bubble, and just add the different emotion words that I am feeling that day. I've used it for days that are happy and days that are sad, and I think there is so much open interpretation to these, and that's why I love them so much. Another specific favorite are the ones that say rant and bye. I use these a lot surrounding maybe things I just need to write about to get off my chest, and then also just to highlight the fact that I bought another thing, bought something else for stationery, or maybe it was for personal home life. One last stamp in this category, and that is these clickable stamps that I purchased from Amazon. These have been so helpful. I purchased these in 2022, and I have been grabbing them on and off as I work on various travel journals from this year, and I always go back to these. I have several other alphabet stamps in different fonts, different brands in Endless Stamps by Sanbi, and I also have Shashihara, but I just still come back to the Amazon ones that I first started with, and I think it's the font. I think the font is a lot more organic, vintage, where the other ones are more crisp and feel very, very document, professional, and there is a time and place for that vibe, but I don't think you could ever go wrong with adding this font to any spread, regardless of what aesthetic it is. There's just something that gives it that look where it's okay that it's messed up. It's okay that there's extra ink dots surrounding the letters, and it just makes it okay to be messy, and I think that's why I like this font, this like typewriter font. There you go. So definitely one of my favorites, and I think it always will be. I have some thoughts on some of the other stamp brands, but if I was gonna do it all over again, I would get this again. Yeah. Next category is this umbrella term of deco or decoration for planners and paper. So PET tape, stickers, washi, just in general. I don't have a specific number for each one, but I just thought I would start talking about my favorite deco elements. And first is going to be first is going to be PET tape. My all-time favorites, I really don't know why either, but it is Our Studio, All the Flowers. I forget the name, I'll have it down here and in the description below. But this is one of my all-time favorites. I have a full roll of it. This was gifted to me on my birthday by a dear stationery friend, and I treasure this so much. I had been hunting for it. I had been watching out for restocks, and she was so kind to order it straight from the shop on Pinkoi, I believe, and she was able to get it there about a month after. I think it started popping up being restocked on US based shops. So it is sold out everywhere again, I think, but I love this pet tape because it's very whimsical. It's very organic. I don't know if those are the best words to describe it, but it just gives you this carefree feeling. I really like the abstract shapes. I love the hand-drawn illustration feel to it. I don't know, I don't know what about it just makes me feel like it's okay to let go of perfectionism. Honestly, that's how this design in PET makes me feel. And so whenever I don't know what to decorate with, I just gravitate towards this because I know I'm gonna like how it looks afterwards. And I think why I love it so much is the muted colors too. There's mustard yellows, rust orange, warm brown, beige, cream, but there's also colors too, and I think it's just my type of color palette, and that just may be why I gravitate towards it. But I love it. I have a loop cut out ready to go in my sticker release insert. I have a loop cut out in my PET tape storage insert, and then I have a loop rolled up in my plastic organizers, and then I have a roll that I put in my excess inventory. And so I just have it everywhere in any place so that it's ready for me to use. I love it so much, and I do use it sparingly, but I've honestly never gotten tired of it when I do use it. The next one that gives me all those same types of feelings is this Peon or Pion, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but it is called Twilight. And same thing, the florals here are just so whimsical and organic. I really love the illustration of it. I don't know, help me out with some of these words to describe in the comments below. Like, what do these images make you think of in terms of like how they feel? I don't know, it's just so hard to describe, but I love all the floral elements. I love the colors, the color palette, the muted colors. I love the cats. I'm not a cat person. I'm actually allergic to cats, but I love cat things. I love the illustrations. I love them in stickers. I have them in stamps. It's just really funny. I have one more pet tape, and this one was gifted to me. I've had this specific pet tape gifted to me several times, and so I'm so happy because, you know, I'll get a loop sent from one friend, another loop from another friend. I got it as a freebie in one of my orders, and so I've been able to use this pet tape without fear of running out of it yet. And I've already looked up where can I buy this, and it is the Mr. Eggplant's film pet tape. I don't know if there's an official name to it, but it is a film strip kind of roll, and I've used this so many times, and I'm so glad that I had a good amount of it to not have to worry about running out so quickly. But now that I'm at my last couple of pieces, I'm going to be strategic in where I put it. I've got a few stickers that have come to be my favorite in 2023, and the first one is actually a food sticker. These are by Marcella Suyer, and I don't know if it's Suller or Suyer, because usually you don't pronounce the L in like Spanish and Tagalog, which Tagalog has a lot of Spanish. So anyways, I'm so sorry if I'm saying it wrong. But these are Filipino food stickers. If you didn't know, I'm Filipino, my husband is Filipino, and my husband is the cook. He's the chef in our family. So he likes to make a lot of Filipino food, and it's been really nice to kind of just add these Filipino cuisine stickers of some of our favorite foods on here. I already used the title in one of these, and it says Kain na, which means let's eat. So yeah, I really love these stickers. This is my second set of them. So I've used these 2 sticker sheets twice now. Or this will be my second time now, and I love them. And I plan on buying more when I get through those. My other favorite stickers, these are die cut stickers, or yeah, it's not on a sticker sheet, but this is by Show Little Happiness, and surprise, it's coffee themed. This one specifically is the pack called A Perfect Day for Coffee, and all of these images are just so cute. I love them so much. One specifically is a rubber stamp that I have. I thought about putting that in my favorite rubber stamps category, but I knew I was gonna have this in my favorite stickers. I think I've only used one of these. These are my favorite so much that I don't want to use them because I don't want to be without them. And I could buy another pack, but I want to buy other things. And so I am using these sparingly, very sparingly. I've had them for 6 months now and I've only used one. And I look at these often to use and I keep thinking like, no, I need to have the perfect moment for them. But all of that to say, these are one of my favorite stickers because it just goes with everything. Coffee, there's neutral colors, there are some bright colors too, so it's always nice to have a little character illustration such as these cute little show little happiness girls. Next is going to be washi tapes. Surprise, surprise, they are coffee illustrations. This first one is actually a very inexpensive washi. It is a stamps design with different coffee drinks and coffee elements. I think you can find this on Amazon, but I specifically purchased this from a D-Stash, and whenever I need like a filler sticker, maybe there's just like a tiny space left and I don't want to go through all my things, I will easily fall back on a kind of stamp design, whether it's this coffee one or other images, but this one never fails to just fit in, probably because it's brown and coffee, and so it's definitely one that I fall back on a lot. The next one is another coffee theme, and this is by Marcella Suyer, and I love the illustrations of this. Another, you can tell, hand-drawn illustration, and it's, I just don't know what to say about it. It's coffee. I love it. I love that it's like a white background. It's clear. It makes the illustrations pop. But I have so many coffee washes. It was really hard to choose. But this that I need to add a little bit of washi deco. I covered pet tape, washi rolls. Okay, and now, oh, I'm not done with washi. So I have washi cards, and my favorite brand for washi is Yohaku. I haven't purchased a single one yet myself because I've had very generous friends give me Yohaku washi samples, and I've loved them so much. I had to ask one friend, like, can you please send me more? And she was happy to, because she's got a whole roll that she doesn't use all the time. And I just love the thinner rolls. I forgot the measurement of them, and then the standard roll size. Another honorable mention is this green grid one. It is by Classicy, and I love that it's on a cream background. So it's not white with green grid, it's actually cream, and it's just so soft and goes really well when I want to add a little bit of color. But those were washi that I had to talk about in this video, despite me having samples. And again, these were gifted to me and they've become my favorite, that I would definitely 100% hundo P purchase them when the time came to add them to my collection. But I'm kind of taking mental note of like which ones I gravitate towards the most, so that when I run out of these samples, I can assess if I really need to buy a full roll or maybe just purchase more samples. There is an Etsy shop that sells Yohaku washi samples, and I will link them in the description below if you're interested. It's really hard to find shops that sell washi samples. But when you do find them, it's great because then you don't have to commit to a full roll or feel guilty for having a roll. And it's so much easier to transport washi cards. That's gonna segue me into the next favorites, and I guess we could call this category like organization, or I guess it could go into tools too. But one of my favorites for 2023 was getting washi cards. I have this huge Toyo box filled with washi cards. I had an acrylic organizer for all of my washi rolls, and it's just so big. It takes so much space, and I put it away, and then I realized I wasn't using my washi rolls as much anymore, and then I felt guilty for having so many washi rolls. Long story short, I swatched and sampled myself about 24 inches of every washi roll I had, sold all of the rolls. And so I have here about half of these is what I had in my roll collection, and another like a fourth is probably from Stationery Swaps. I don't know that I've ever finished a washi roll. I saw a friend finish a washi roll in front of me before my eyes, and I was amazed. Tell me in the comments if you've ever finished a washi roll, because if you have, I think like you need an award. You seriously need an award. But these, let me see if I can find like a pretty empty one. I don't know. Here's one where like there's a gap. But these washi cards are really great. I recommend everyone to even just get a small pack of them, so that if you ever do come across a friend that you want to swap with, it'll be really easy to have some samples to give away to friends, or swap in mail, or maybe pen pal with someone. But it makes traveling with washi so much easier. It makes looking for a specific washi to go with your spread a lot easier as well. Okay, since we're on the topic of like organization things, I'm going to talk about my stationery tote bag. I purchased this off Etsy, and this is her. Yeah, I saw someone purchase stationery tote. Oh, it was the Gelato Peak. The Gelato Peak is like a short but wide canvas bag, only sold in Japan, so you have to find it from a reseller if you're in the US or anywhere else. And it was pretty pricey with the upcharge, and so I didn't want to pay that price, so I tried to find an alternative. It took me a long while to find this, but I found it on Etsy. And then when I showed it off on Instagram, someone said that they saw something similar on Amazon, and so since then it's been a lot easier for people to find on Amazon. So I think it's honestly the exact same, everything inside, the way it's stitched, even this little tag is the same as the one linked on Amazon. So I will link the Amazon one for you, and there's so many different colors. Anyways, to the tote and actually like how much I like it. There is a zipper that I never use, but I have, like, it does close if you want it to. But I love decorating the front with it, making it customizable for myself with pins. I do use this pocket for tools that I don't mind like rubbing against the back of the enamel pins. But I will put the things that I want to work on in here that I'm going to bring to the dining table. I don't always journal at this desk. This is my kids' toy room, and I have all my journaling stuff on one side of the wall here behind the camera. But whenever I want to journal out in the dining table, or if I'm going out of the house, I use this tote bag, and it can fit so much stuff. I have in here presently my cousin, my APEC cousin that I just scribble in. I have my daily journal A6. I have my 2024 planner B6 that I am practicing layouts in the notes section. I have my finance pocket rings planner. I have my Galen leather fountain pen case, and so much more could fit in here, but I just took it out for this video. So definitely recommend this tote bag. I want to buy more totes for stationery, but I don't need it. This has been so functional that I really have to talk myself into saving money for other things where I don't need to buy another one. I just want to get like a different color or something. But honestly, that has done the job so well that I don't need another. Next category I want to talk about is papers, and then that is going to get into planners. But for paper, I just wanted to do a quick mention that one of my favorites is Midori loose leaf paper, but surprise, I never bought it. I don't actually have the loose paper pack. I have accumulated so many Midori cream inserts that I will just take them apart and use the individual cream paper for what I need. but I've had it on my list to buy for so long. It feels like all year this year, ever since the 15th anniversary. Midori released their cream paper in loose leaf packs since the 15th anniversary. It says it's like a 15th anniversary special item, but I don't know if that means there's a limited time. So I myself need to jump on that and kind of stock up on the loose leaf paper, because I use it to stamp for friends to send them happy mail. So I cut up the cream paper for my ink swatches, and that's what I use for my ink swatches, because in the beginning of the year, I was using mostly Midori paper with my fountain pens, and so I felt like I should do my ink swatches on Midori paper. Then fast forward to my Hobonichi, and so most of my journaling was actually in Tomoe River paper, but I continue to do my swatches on Midori cream paper. So that's why I actually really like the loose leaf pack that they sell, because it would make cutting cards that I need for swatches easier instead of taking apart some of my cream paper inserts. So for 2023, my favorite planner or notebook is actually the Midori One Day One Page. It's interesting that I say this too, because I have not been in this often. I think I have less than 10 spreads in here, but there is just something about this layout and this size that is so comforting to me. It really gives me the idea of play. I will actually come back to this planner whenever I'm feeling overwhelmed with all my other commitments, like my travel journal, my daily journal, sometimes my weekly Vertical Travelers Company spreads. Whenever I feel a little burnt out from doing the same thing and having a little repetition there, I will grab this and just kind of have some creative release, creative fun. Anything goes in here. I don't follow a specific theme, and that to me is so exhilarating, so relieving, less pressure, all those things. I'm at a loss for words, but I really have enjoyed this layout. There's just something about the lines down here, and it's funny, every time I see somebody use this journal or notebook, it's never to actually plan in the layout that they provide you. I kind of like the open interpretation and the creativity that everyone has with the Midori One Day One Page. So this has been one of my favorite things, and this is actually a 2022 notebook. I really love that it's undated, and yeah, something great to add to anybody's collection, because it's really nice to just have a notebook you can fall back on for creative release, and that is the One Day One Page for me. Okay, I am getting into pouches and cases. This is seriously one of my favorite things this year, and if you watched my previous video or listened to me on Instagram, you know that it's the Euroliku cases. Every time I'm holding these things, I always have to point out that it's been like my favorite thing. But I purchased these in 2022, and I've used them for a full year now, and they are still just one of my favorite things. I make sure to always have them ready for me to travel. I use them every day, even at home. So I use the 3 pen case here, but I put more than 3 pens. One of my favorite things about this is the sleeves. The separated sleeves here for fountain pens. Well, it's not for fountain pens, but I use it for fountain pens. I like to turn it to the side so that the clip can actually go into the sleeve as well. And if you didn't know, because I didn't at first, the very first slot is made larger than the other 2. So it is a different size. So technically this is a larger size slot, and then the other 2 are medium size. So my Pilot Custom 823 fits really well in this first slot, but it can barely fit in the second or last slot. I also like that I could add pens to the other side, but they if you're putting fountain pens in here, they do touch. But when it's closed, and because I put the clips inside the sleeves, my pen clips don't rub against each other and clash with each other, so I can protect my hardware on my pens that way as well. But I've honestly never put anything else in here than fountain pens when I first got it, so it's just always been my dedicated like go-to grab and go fountain pens for whatever that month and what's currently inked. So the pens in here do change whenever I change inks and find that I'm using a specific one more than the others. This next category is going to be me talking about my favorite TN, and I'm just gonna do one TN overall, not like one standard and one passport, because then we'll be here forever. But my favorite TN of all time has got to be my Traveler's Train of this year. I know what you're saying, you're like, how is it not your passport coffee one? This one is my favorite, but with the customizations, this one really put it over the top. I got this customized to be my wallet, and I love it as my wallet. I have two passports that are customized with Baumkuchen to work as wallets, and I'm currently in my olive one. But when I travel and go on vacation, I love to switch into this one, and that is because I asked for a zipper pocket in the back. And I currently live in Italy, and Europe just still uses a lot of cash and the euro coin. So I like to have this pocket in the back, just like a regular just like a regular wallet would. And it's been so helpful while traveling. So I really love that I asked for this zip pocket in the back. Now, TNs usually have the hole for the elastic in the back, so I did okay it for them to cover, and then I myself made a hole in the spine. I asked BK if they could make the hole for me, and they said no. They said they wanted to stay true to the design of the Traveler's Notebook, which is interesting to me because they add customizations, which is technically changing the design of the original notebook. But anyways, it was not that hard to make the hole in the spine. I do have a full video about this customization. I got this customization first and then my olive one. And if there's one thing I could change, I would change it so that this card wallet insert is actually the vertical pocket on this front side. But my favorite feature of this is literally because there's a zip pocket in the back, making it a very, very functional wallet TN situation. And so this is my only black TN too. I do not have a black standard, and it just feels so classic. I love the brass rivets that go with the gold foiling. Sadly, I have scratched the foiling on the word train on the letter I, but it is what it is. When you use something like a TN as your wallet, it's gonna get roughened up, and so I just gotta live with it. But I really am so happy with this TN. If there was a custom that I was going to redo, it would be this one. And I am actually stopping myself from customizing more passport wallets because I don't need to have multiple wallets to change into. Having two already is enough to go back and forth. But I will actually be moving into this one as my wallet very soon, as I'll be traveling. So there you have it, my favorite TN of 2023. We are going into fountain pens. I'm going to try and not mention my Sailor Cafe, but just know that it is in one of my top favorites. But I actually have grown very fond of my Platinum 3776, Platinum Century 3776, and I have here the Calico. This is a celluloid made pen, and I just love how it writes. I actually have an 18 karat nib pen. This was an old stock pen that I purchased brand new, and the design on the nib is different than anything I've seen. It is an old stock because it does not have the heart cut out for the breath hole. I don't know if that's the correct word for it, but for the hole in the nib. And I mean, as you can see, this is completely different than the current model of Platinum pens with the nib design. But it is just such a great writer. I think because I have an 18 karat gold nib on mine, the experience writing is a lot softer. I've heard that Platinum is actually a very hard tip, but this is my only one, so I don't have a lot to compare it to, but it writes so smooth, so not feedbacky like the Sailors. I do enjoy both, and depending on the ink, for my Platinum being a fine nib, it is so buttery smooth. I don't want to talk about what ink I have in here yet because it is one of my surprising favorites of this year, but I will get to that later and kind of talk about how it's become like a really great pen and ink combination. But some honorable mentions of other fountain pens is going to be my Sailor Cafe Crema, the Sailor Marionettes, and the Sailor Meigetsu. So I actually sold all other Pro Gear Slims except the Marionettes and Sailor Meigetsu. The Sailor Meigetsu has a special story to me. It was my very first Sailor pen I purchased on Amazon, but unfortunately I think I got a really bad nib, and I didn't know at the time until I started purchasing other Sailors, and then noticing that this first Meigetsu pen I had, the flow just was not right. I think it needed to be fine, to be smoothed and tuned. And then I flew to California and the grip section cracked. I was devastated because it was my very first Sailor, but I was happy that out of all the Sailors, it was going to be my cheapest one. I think I had purchased it for $75 or $80 on Amazon. So really, you know, a great sale price on Amazon, but also not the huge price tag of some of my other Sailor pens. And then I had a dear friend reach out to me on Instagram that she wanted to give me her Sailor Meigetsu because she doesn't use it, and she wanted to see it go to a home that was going to use it more. And so I was so touched by that, and so this is just such a special memory now with this pen being my very first Sailor, being a pen gifted to me from the community. And so all in all, I just don't think I'm ever going to get rid of this Sailor Meigetsu despite not collecting Pro Gear Slims anymore. I still use it. I still will ink the Meigetsu and the Marionettes, but these two pens are my favorite Pro Gear Slims. I will use them despite not liking the smaller barrel body size because there's just sentimental value, and then the Marionettes is just my favorite green color of all time. So those two are always probably going to be my favorite Pro Gear Slims. We'll see in 2024, and as you guys already know, I love the Sailor Cafe Crema pen, but Platinum Century 3776 Celluloid Calico, what a long name, that has got to be my favorite fountain pen in 2023. Okay, last category is inks. This is really going to be a surprise for anyone that's followed my fountain pen and ink journey on Instagram because I love brown everything. I went on a journey of finding the best perfect brown ink match to my Sailor Cafe Crema. I think I tried 20 plus samples from Van Ness pens, and my favorite ink ended up being a gray ink. My favorite ink of 2023 is Diamine Earl Grey. I always have to have this ink in a pen. I think my top 4 pens have all been inked with Diamine Earl Grey at some point. And ever since I tried it at the beginning of the year, it's one of the it was in the very first batch of samples I ever purchased in 2022, and I've since gone through 3 different samples. It just so happens that someone will send me Earl Grey every time from ink sample swaps with friends. And so I haven't had to buy a bottle yet, but the great thing about Diamine is they're so inexpensive. I think a bottle for 30 mLs is like $8 or something like that. And if you want the giant bottle of 75 mLs, it's only like 20 something, I think. But I have yet to buy a full bottle. I am going through my samples. I still have 1 last vial left, but it is like, it's become my new black ink. I don't ink black in my pens. I ink Earl Grey. So Earl Grey is always ink. I used it for a few months as my daily writer, my daily ink in my Cafe Crema, but currently it is in my Sailor Kagero 1911 large, and it's, yeah, anytime I need like a black ink, I use Earl Grey. And then the ink that is in my Platinum Century 3776 is Sailor Hanagokoro, and this is very similar to Earl Grey. It is like a dark blue gray. I don't know if it's my favorite only because it's in this pen, but this ink and pen combination, I've been so obsessed with it. I've nearly neglected all my other pens. Like my Sailor Cafe Crema pen has not been getting the love and attention it's gotten all year because of this ink and pen combination. I love it so much. There is a really nice sheen on old Tomoe River paper. On the new Sanzen paper, it still looks great, but I'm finding that it smears. Even days after it's dried, I would, you know, touch a certain spot on the page and kind of flip the page and I'd find that it smeared. So that's really sad. I'm still using it though. And this is kind of another ink that's like, that could replace black ink in pens, because it looks very dark with this fine nib. But I really love that it's kind of blue grayish when wet, and then it dries a little more on the darker side. But that has been one of my surprising ink favorites this year. I know if you're watching this from Instagram, you're probably waiting for me to talk about a favorite brown. I can't say that I have a favorite brown other than the sesame oil that I mentioned in my best purchase video, but another honorable mention is Cowardly Lion from Wearing Cool, but I can't say that it's my favorite because while I did finish a full vial of it, I haven't tried it out ever since I first got more into inks in February. So I tried that ink, finished the whole vial in spring, and I feel like my ink knowledge has grown a lot over the year. And so I'm interested to kind of revisit some of the inks that I had written off at the beginning of my fountain pen and ink journey, and to see if my thoughts have changed now that I know ink properties and kind of can appreciate different properties a lot better now, approaching a year into my fountain pen and ink journey. So that is all for everything in our categories, I think. I hope you enjoyed this favorites 2023 video. I tried to start with the more inexpensive items, kind of the essential items that one would use every single day, no matter what kind of journaling you're doing, as long as you're using maybe some ephemera or doing memory keeping with photos. And then we get into the more specific items like rubber stamps, and then of course more expensive items like fountain pens. So I hope there was a little bit of everything for those of you watching, and something that you might want to try out from this list of items. Do let me know in the comments down below your thoughts on this video. If you'd like to see more videos like this, maybe broken up into quarters, so I could do one after quarter one, or maybe seasonally like spring, summer, and fall. and then let me know if any of these favorites also fall into your favorites, or if there's something that you would like to try out because it was in my favorites video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.